What is up, YouTube? It's RSMario here. You know who I am. You already watched part 1 of this video. This is part 2 of my Fire Emblem Engage classes video, going over all the classes, going over all the class types, and how they corroborate to the different classes. This is the part 2 to that video. You know what I'm saying? So, of course, enjoy the video. Like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell button. Subscribe, because 80% of you guys are not subscribed. Check me out on Twitter at twitter.com/RSMario. Check out the Loot Box Hero, which is my second channel, and enjoy part 2 of my classes coverage for Fire Emblem Engage. So then you have Sentinel and Sentinel 2. So Sentinel 1 is a lance-based backup class, whereas Sentinel 2 is a bow-based cavalry class. So the lance-based one goes into a picket, which is also another lance type, still backup class. And then Sentinel 2 goes up into Cupido, which is a bow and sword cavalry unit, which, okay, that sounds kind of lit. All right, so you have Wing Tamer, which we got our flying unit finally. So Wing Tamer is a wyvern class. They use tomes and staves. Of course, they have the flyer type, and they evolve. I keep saying evolve. They level up into or promote into Lindworms, which essentially is your wyvern. You know, your promoted wyvern rider class. They still use tomes and staves. Then you've got your Pegasus Knight. You got Wing Tamer, which the other Wing Tamer, which is the Pegasus Knight essentially, and they also use tomes and staves. So what's the point of these two? If they both use tomes and staves, right? And they're both flyers. The only difference is one of them has a Pegasus and the other one has a wyvern. I mean, okay, you know what I'm saying? You could have kind of differentiated them a little bit. But of course the Pegasus rider promotes into Slipnir rider, which still uses tomes and staves, so there's literally no difference, other than one's on the Pegasus and the other one's on the dragon. So I guess weaknesses and things or differences. So then you have Sword Fighter. You know what I'm saying? Sword Fighter straight up uses swords. They are a backup class, so you'll be able to chain them with other classes, and they promote into Sword Master, which still uses swords and is a backup class. Hero, which has no under promotions. It's just a promoted class. So I assume that you actually promote from like one of the other classes, like maybe Lance Fighter or Sword Fighter. You have the option to promote over into Hero instead of promoting into Sword Master. But it uses swords, lance, or axes. So, and it is still a backup class. Then you've got Lance Fighter, which is a lance backup class yet again, which promotes into Halberdier, which is also still lance backup. So Axe Fighter is a axe-based backup class and promotes into Berserker, just uses axes, and is a backup class. We have Archer, which is a bow class and is covert, so that promotes into the English Sniper. So not the fancy French sniper, just the regular English sniper. I assume that there's gonna be like some stat-based or ability-based differences between the two. And then you have Bow Knight. So the Bow Knight, of course, you know what I'm saying, is a cavalryman with a bow, but he can also use swords, axes, or lances. So that's kind of crazy, you know what I'm saying? Then of course you have the Thief unit, which your typical covert unit uses daggers. It has a special class, can exceed level 20. Oh, so wait a minute, so you can just be a thief forever. Okay, just be robbing niggas forever. So then you have the Mage class, which you know what a mage is. Mages use tomes, they use magic, and it promotes into a Sage class, which uses tomes and magic, and they're both mystical types, so they can hit anybody with their magic regardless of their terrain. And then of course there is the Mage Knight, which is mage on a horse. So it's a mage with cavalry class. So with cavalry type anyway. So then you have this right here where it gets cool. martial monk. So basically, she's squaring up with people. You know what I'm saying? Martial monk uses body arts. Probably gets like the gloves or the whatever as their weapons, and staffs. So basically, they're healers. They're healers who put hands on people. And so that evolves into a promotes into a martial master, and they're both Q adept classes. So key adept classes, not Q. Don't be Q adept. Don't be a conspiracy theorist. So then, of course, you can also promote into high priest, which they do body arts, tomes, and staffs. So that's where you get to use regular magic, and they're a mystical type. So you can start off as a Q adept, like martial monk, and then go up to a mystical high priest. Then you have the dancer class, which is they just use body arts, and they're another Q adept class, key adept class. So then you've got a sword, lance, axe, armor. I'm not quite sure if that's the name of that class, but they're basically I guess your basic armor class. You know what I'm saying? You can use swords, axes, or lances. And of course, they're armor type, so they don't break. And they promote into generals that can use swords, axes, or lances. Same thing. Then, of course, there's Great Knight, which is the same thing, but cavalry. Which seems like a pattern here. So then you have your Cavalier, which promotes into a paladin, and they can use swords, axes, or lances. They've got the cavalry type, and then the interesting thing with this is they don't have just a cavalry version. They've got a furry cavalry version because they promote into wolf knights, which gives you access to daggers. So, for some reason you want to ride an animal and use a knife, you can do that. Even though I think you probably can throw daggers too, so it gives you a range option. That's probably what it is. And then you have sword, lance. You got your flyer character. So this right here, I think, is your regular Pegasus Knight, because they can use swords, lances, and axes, and they promote into Griffin Knights, which same thing, but uses swords, lances, and axes, and staffs. And they promote into Wyvern Knights that use swords, lances, or axes. Okay, yeah, basically the same thing, but with dragons and no magic. So why would you want to promote into a Wyvern Knight when you can just promote into a Griffin Knight and be able to use magic, unless that character just has a trash magic stat? But yeah, that's about it for this. So this is the classes that we have so far. There might be more classes because there's some empty spots on this list on Serena's Forest. You know, and there's some classes that just don't promote. Like the dancer doesn't promote into anything. You know, like the thief doesn't really promote into anything unless you can just cross promote into like different classes. But so far this looks pretty good, and with the type system adds a whole new level of complexity to classes, and like what are we gonna do, like what setup are we gonna have when we go into battle, like who are we taking, so that's about it. Of course, like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell button, do all that good stuff, and subscribe, because 80% of you not subscribed, and watch this space for more Fire Emblem Engage coverage.